Good morning. All of you who slogged through the heavy snow to get here this morning. I had to brush off my car for about 10 seconds. I thought I was going to be late. Welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Hamilton. I want to thank the team that's presenting worship, some up here, some in the back. Speaker Karen Trollop Kumar this morning, musical director Rachel Derry, choir director Cindy Carey and the choir, our director of religious education Tim Versteeg, and the tech team Brian Carey, Mary Ellen and Josh Forbes, and Bruce McPherson. Beverly Horton will offer a reading, and Sandy Lubert, one of our lay chaplains, was going to be here this morning to participate, but she's home with laryngitis. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on your journey of faith or search for meaning, today you are one of us, and you are welcome in this house of worship. We are not the first people on this land, nor will we be the last. We acknowledge our connection to the web of all existence, honoring the past and preparing for the future. The stewardship of the original people who lived here preserved this place for our generation, and we seek to be respectful stewards of this place for those who will follow. Our congregational mission is to nurture each other, serve the community, and inspire actions that heal the world. So my name is Stephen Atkinson, and I'm your service leader this morning. I'm delighted to be here. Haven't been up here for I don't know when. Today we're looking at our monthly theme of creativity through the eyes of the lay chaplain. And some of you may not understand that we have lay chaplains. Canadian UU congregations have the right to appoint lay members of the congregation as chaplains who have the legal power to perform weddings and training to perform other rites of passage, such as child dedications and memorial services. Our church has a lay chaplaincy team of non-chaplain volunteers who work with our chaplains to keep this program up and running and in best shape. The team guides the whole program and assists the chaplains in maintaining their training and accreditation. I'm the current co-chair of the team, along with Lila Miklos. Volunteer members are Monica Bennett and Beverly Horton, and our minister Jamie Boyce is also on this team as well. And our lay chaplains, as I mentioned, are Karen and Sandy Lubert. So having oriented you to all of that, I invite you all to be comfortable and turn off any cell phones, unless perhaps you have a chapel bell ringtone. It might be fun if chapel bells rang randomly through this particular service. Otherwise, nix the tones. Our chalice is a reminder of the light and hope of our faith. We light it each time we get together to remind us of the sacredness of our time together. Please join in reading our Unison chalice lighting words. May this flame be our light of friendship and love. And the children's. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. We come to worship because worship itself is a rite of passage. As we live through the times of uplift and descent, of ease and difficulty, of arrivals and departures, and all that is our lives during the in-betweens. We come to be with each other because if we didn't know before, we're now certain that we need to be together. We come back to this place physically when we're able and ready, and virtually when not, because so much of our personal and collective memory has seeped into these walls, this floor, the seats, the hangings, the plants. It holds us and our history. So come, let us be in worship once again this morning. And we sing our first hymn this morning. Rachel Derry will lead us in hymn For All That Is Our Life.
Number 128, For All That Is Our Life. For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift, which we are called to use, to build the common good, and make our own days glad. For needs which others serve, for services we give, for work and its rewards, for hours of rest and love, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life. For sorrow we must bear, for failures, pain, and loss, for each new thing we learn, for fearful hours that pass, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life. For all that is our life, we sing with thanks and praise. For all life is a gift, which we are called to use, to build the common good, and make our own days glad.
Good morning. This morning's story for all ages is to mark this Thursday's International Transgender Day of Visibility, which occurs every year on March 31st. I just want to tell you a little bit about the folks who wrote the story, JR and Vanessa Ford. They're nationally known advocates for LGBTQT plus rights, specifically rights for transgender youth. Their advocacy and work has been featured in the New York Times, Newsweek, the Boston Globe, the Washington Post, and in Gender Revolution, A Journey with Katie Curry. They are members of the Human Rights Campaign's Parents for Transgender Equality National Council, and they live with their two children, one of whom is trans, in the Boston, Massachusetts area. Okay. So our story is called Calvin, and it's written, as I mentioned, by JR and Vanessa Ford, illustrated by Kayla Heron. For as long as I could remember, I knew I was a boy. I'd draw myself with short hair and a shirt like Papa's. I'd dream about swim trunks like my dad and brother wore. I didn't tell my family until the night before our summer trip to Gigi and Papa's. I was scared they wouldn't believe me, but I knew it was time to be me. Whenever I have to do something scary, my dad always says, take deep breaths and count down from 5. Breathe in, breathe out. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm not a girl, I told my family. I'm a boy in my heart and in my brain. We love you if you are a girl, boy, neither, or both. We love you whoever you are, my dad said. Later, Dad told me the word for how I felt was transgender. Being transgender means other people think you are one gender, but inside you know you're a different one. I wondered how Gigi and Papa would react. As we got closer, I squeezed my stuffed lion to my chest. I had already told my family who I was. Now I needed to tell them my name. The same name as your favorite stuffed lion? Dad asked. That's why I named him that. It's always been my name to me. When we got to Gigi and Papa's, Dad told them my new name. He introduced me. Our summer trip turned out to be the best ever. At the comic convention, Papa bought me my favorite costume. My favorite superhero signed my poster using my real name. At Waterworld, Gigi bought me and my brother matching swim trunks. Even the water slides felt better in them. In line for popcorn, I made a new friend. I felt proud to tell him my name. We spent the whole day together. On the last day of vacation, at the big outlet stores near Gigi and Papa's, I picked out new clothes. That night, I gave my family a fashion show. You look so handsome, Gigi told me. School was starting soon, and I knew there was only one more thing I needed to feel like me. When I looked in the mirror, I finally saw me. Dad said there were other transgender people in the world, but I didn't know any kids like me at my school, and school started next week. Being the only one felt scary. How would everyone treat me? What if my friends wouldn't call me he? What if? The first day of school, I dragged my feet to the door. Breathe in, breathe out. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to school. We're glad you're here. When the principal said my name, I felt safe and happy. Violet skipped up to me, calling out my new name too. You know my name? I asked. Yep, your dad told my mom you're a boy now. I've always been a boy inside. Are we still friends? Yes. Did you bring your jump rope for recess? When I stepped inside my classroom, I couldn't believe what I saw. The cubby, the lunch cart, the homework station and the mailboxes, the name tag on the table. My new name was everywhere it should be. I felt my fears start to go away. Welcome back, class. For morning meeting, we'll all share about our summers. I knew just what I would say when it was my turn. I stood up proudly to share my summer story, but first I introduced myself. Hi, I said, my name is Calvin, C-A-L-V-I-N, and I felt my what-ifs melt away. And that is the end of our story for this morning.
So we're taking this, a few minutes in this service, which is about the late chaplain experience, to celebrate the service of one of our late chaplains who is stepping down, Lila Miklos, who almost made it. Oh, there she is this morning. We were all ready to do it in your absence, but I'm really glad you're here. The longest a lay chaplain can serve is 6 years, a 3-year term renewable once. And so Lila has served 6 years, but she's not stopping. She's going to help me be the co-chair of this team because she knows everything and I know nothing almost yet. Now, a few people have things to say to Lila and for Lila and about Lila, and then we'll call her up. And it's starting with a recording from Tim.
Chaplaincy is a unique role in our church. While trained to perform rites of passage, by and large, you use these skills outside of our congregation. You are licensed by the Ontario government to officiate weddings, but that license is held and processed under the auspices of the Canadian Unitarian Council. The principles of Unitarian Universalism are the cornerstones of your role, Yet you will be asked to participate in ceremonies whose stakeholders come from a wide range of backgrounds. Because most of the work is done outside of the church walls, it requires an independence of thought, self-directed organization, a maturity of approach, a willing adaptability to the needs of those you serve, and a boatload of creativity. Lila displayed all these qualities during her time as a lay chaplain. Lay chaplaincy is also a factor and product of one's personality. Lila began her time as a lay chaplain when I was halfway through mine. I suspect it is safe to say that she falls more on the extrovert than the introvert side, while I'm the opposite. Before becoming a lay chaplain, Lila had sat on the committee which supports these roles and was integral to developing processes and procedures that were clear and consistent with the expectations outlined by the CUC. She has a gift and a passion for this kind of policy work. It's one more way she and I are very different. As a colleague, Lila was always willing to give me a call to talk about challenges or to confer about scheduling, backup, and other ways we needed to coordinate our efforts to best serve the community and the church. We only worked together once during our shared time as chaplains. That was for the memorial service of Eduardo Cordero, which happened during a period when Reverend Victoria was away on a mini sabbatical. Given Lila's talent and experience with musical theater, it seemed appropriate for her to coordinate the musicians and music for the service, while I handled more of the words and the framing of the day. Safe to say I had the easier role, as the range and number of musicians to be involved in the service was wider than we could have anticipated. Ultimately, it was a great service and tribute to a beloved member of our congregation, and Lila's attention to detail and hard work was essential to that success. Stepping down at the end of your term as a lay chaplain is a strange process. It can be freeing as you relinquish a role with great responsibility, but there's also a loss as the work is incredibly rewarding as you are given the privilege of being present to some of the most meaningful and emotionally charged moments of people's lives. It is both and. Lila, as you end your time as lay chaplain, I invite you to reflect on all the lives you've touched in your role and give yourself a pat on the back for a job well done.
And now our minister, Jamie Boyce, is going to say a few words.
Good morning. Lila, I wonder if we might draw you closer to us this morning. Maybe there is a perch on the front row. Your presence is required on this special day. So I have just gotten to know Lila. When I was stuck in Michigan, turned away at the Canadian border, I wondered if I would ever get to Canada. I had something very urgent waiting for me here. I was assigned a service, the first service I would ever deliver, and I was to be your worship associate that day. But I was stuck, living in the liminal space between there and here. I struggled to understand my responsibility with this role of worship associate in the virtual world at the First Unitarian Church of Hamilton, which was really my new job, right? So there was a lot of uncertainty in this moment. As far as I could gather, it was my job to provide a few bits and pieces of the service, to provide a beginning and an end. But perched at the border, it was difficult to grasp more than that. I was peering into a new world, a new life, feeling vulnerable and out of sorts. It turns out I need not worry. Lila, you were gracious, prepared, and organized in a way that continues to take my breath away. It's clear that you bring compassion, understanding, and a gift for getting everything just right in your role as lay chaplain. You have clearly impacted the lives of many at times of joy times of sorrow, at times of uncertainty, exactly in the liminal spaces of change and transformation when all of us need someone to depend on. Thank you for your service to our community. Thank you for lifting us to the higher ground of purpose and direction in our lay chaplaincy program. We are grateful and charmed by your gifts of care and leadership. May the path before you present new opportunities to share yourself in love and care, and with the grace and joy that invites confidence in whatever happens next. Thank you.
Hello, everyone, and also for Lila. When I became a lay chaplain, there was no lay chaplaincy committee, and so Lila was kind of it. And along with our minister, the two of them really inducted me into the role, and Lila was just a tremendous mentor to me. I wanted to share a testimonial from some people that Lila had officiated at their wedding, one of the first weddings that Lila did. You'll be happy to hear this one, Lila, from Cal and Maria Haddad. So Cal said, he wrote to me, when Maria and I decided to get married, we wanted to hold it in the chapel at St. Peter's residence at Shadok, where Maria's mother was living, so that she could attend, but we needed a celebrant. Because we weren't affiliated with any church, Maria called the Unitarian Church. One of the chaplains she spoke to turned out to be Lila, who had just become an officiant. By coincidence, I had known Lila for many years, going back to my days working at Mohawk College when she was a student there. Ours was only the second wedding Lila had performed, and it was perfect. She took the time to get to know us in order to help her prepare the ceremony. With our immediate family in attendance, including Maria's elderly mother, Lila's ceremony truly reflected our feelings and beliefs, and that special day was one we will long remember. And Lila, I know that you've attended so many ceremonies over the years and have done a wonderful job, and I just wanted to thank you personally for all your help that I've received from you. Now, we do have some flowers for you. And we also have a giant thank you card, but it is so big that I couldn't bring it today, and I'm going to have to rent a van or some other kind of vehicle, and then I will deliver it personally to your home. But yes, Lila, in great appreciation from everyone at the church.
It's fitting that I should come prepared with no speech on Academy Awards night. But thank you very much, and I'm really happy that we now have a well-established lay chaplaincy committee again, getting the work prepared for all the things that we do for lay chaplaincy, because lay chaplaincy is outreach work for our faith and our congregation, because we reach out to the wider community providing services for rites of passage. So it's a real ambassadorial role for Unitarian Universalism in our community. So it's important work that we do, and we're there for the really important parts of people's lives and significant dates and moments that are going to live with them forever. So it's been, as Tim said, I'm happy to walk away, but I'm still getting requests for people for me to marry them. I keep saying, we have two lovely lay chaplains right now, Karen and Sandy. They would be thrilled to marry you. So, hey, it's nice the word got out, and I get to tell people to come and call you guys up. So there you go. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And our next hymn is Just As Long As I Have Breath, which is a hymn that always, to me, talks about the services we do, whether it's in our day-to-day life or when we say yes to life by working in some particular way. So Rachel's going to lead us in that, or sing for us that hymn this morning.
Number 6, Just As Long As I Have Breath.
Just as long as I have breath, I must answer yes to life. Though with pain I made my way, still with hope I meet each day. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to life. Just as long as vision lasts, I must answer yes to truth. In my dream and in my dark, always that elusive spark. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to truth. Just as long as my heart beats, I must answer yes to love. Disappointment pierced me through, still I kept on loving you. If they ask what I did best, tell them I said yes to love.
To move into our time for meditation this morning, Beverly Horton is going to read us a passage, and then there will be silence followed by the choir.
This poem is entitled, We Hold Hope Close. In this community, we hold hope close. We don't always know what comes next, but that cannot dissuade us. We don't always know just what to do, but that will not mean that we are lost in the wilderness. We rely on the certainty beneath, the foundation of our values and ethics. We are the people who return to love like a North Star and to the truth that we are greater together than we are alone. Our hope does not live in some glimmer of an indistinct future. Rather, we know the way to the world of which we dream. And by covenant and the movement forward of one right action and then the next, we know that one day we will arrive at home.
Listen, hush, wait.
Good morning, everyone. Our theme for the month of March is co-creation. It's a broad term with applications ranging from the physical to the metaphysical and from the material to the spiritual. As I often do when preparing a sermon, I Googled the term co-creation, and I discovered concepts ranging from the sublime to the ridiculous. So let's start with the sublime. This is from the Institute for Noetic Science. A co-creative paradigm is a primary means for transformation of the dominant worldview. Science and spirituality, working together, can reconfigure our most basic understanding of human consciousness, showing us a way to live harmoniously in a healthy and sustainable ecosphere. Sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Sublime, definitely. But what about the ridiculous? It turns out that the concept of co-creation is being enthusiastically embraced by business as a marketing tool. When the consumer is actively involved in the development process of new products, apparently sales can skyrocket. Did you know that the Nike company is using the process of co-creation to boost its sales of running shoes? You can co-create your own special pair of shoes by choosing the style, color, and a range of silly details. I found myself beginning to think that I, too, need a unique pair of running shoes. Such is the power of marketing. Fortunately, I managed to extricate myself from that particular rabbit hole, and I began to reflect on the various ways we've been exploring the topic of co-creation in the first 3 Sundays of March. In Jamie's sermon on March 6, she talked about the deep mutuality that happens during the co-creative experience. She explored the way we're changed as we engage in that process of co-creativity. This theme of being changed during the process of creation was taken up again the following week. On March 13th, we heard from Sheila Dunn-Dooley and Catherine Schuler as they described their creative journeys. Sheila explored art as a spiritual practice in her own life and the way that it helps raise her up, center her, and calm her mind. Catherine Schuler then eloquently spoke about the ways in which the creation of her fabric art helps her step out of her everyday life into a place of peace and tranquility. Of course, the creative process is not always tranquil. On March 20th, Barb Wallace spoke amusingly about her fear of creativity. And Barb, I know that we are all hoping you will finally cash in your gift certificate to the Dundas Valley School of Art. And we are eagerly awaiting the masterpiece that we know is waiting to be created. In the same week, Jamie spoke about community as a co-creative process and reflected about the ways in which our church community had managed to meet the challenges of the pandemic. She eloquently described the pandemic as an archive of complicated feelings and collective trauma, and how the creative power of community has helped us all navigate the difficulties of the past 2 years. The theme of co-creation was also explored in Chalice groups during the first week of March. In the Chalice group that I facilitate, group members reflected about various social justice initiatives in which they were involved and what they learned from those experiences. Pat Dickinson reflected about the Eva Rothwell Project, and Gail Rappolt shared insights from the peace initiatives she's passionate about. I spoke about the work I'm involved with at Body Brave, where the whole organization was co-created with people involved in the issue of eating disorders, either as survivors or as caregivers. Our guiding principle is nothing about us without us. In our advocacy work, we lobby for getting the voice of lived experience into all treatment programs as well as into government policy. So for this final week of March, I wanted to offer a few thoughts about the work of lay chaplains in our church and the ways in which we co-create rites of passage for people who reach out to us. The mission statement of the lay chaplaincy program of the CUC states the following: lay chaplains help clients and families obtain meaningful rites of passage by, number one, recognizing their beliefs and wishes; number two, being sensitive to the needs of others who attend the ceremony; and three, embodying Unitarian values that call for respect and acceptance of those who follow different paths of faith. Congregants who are interested in becoming lay chaplains do a training program offered by the CUC. They are then interviewed by the Lay Chaplain Committee and are affirmed at an AGM. In the past, we've had Barb Jepson, Kath McIntyre, and Tim Versteeg serve as lay chaplains, just to mention a few. Lila Miklosh has just completed her term as a lay chaplain, and now Sandy Lubert has joined me. Bev Horton has also expressed an interest in becoming a lay chaplain, and so when my term is over, she'll be ready to step into my place. People from the wider Hamilton community reach out to us wanting a meaningful ritual of significance. Most people don't have a particular faith community, and they're looking for a secular ceremony that's nevertheless spiritual. This poses some unique challenges, but also some wonderful opportunities. The first wedding I was involved with was for a young couple who came from different cultural backgrounds. The woman was a white Canadian who'd grown up in Canada, and her fiancé was a man of Hindu background who'd grown up in India. They wanted a ceremony that would blend some of the traditions of both cultures. Knowing that I also had a cross-cultural marriage with an Indian man, they reached out to ask if I could marry them. However, at that time, I'd not yet received my license to officiate marriages, and so Lila kindly agreed to be the officiant, though I was also involved in co-creating the ceremony. This was also a great opportunity for me to shadow Lila and learn the ropes. In the central tradition of a Hindu marriage, the couple walks 7 times around a sacred fire, making 7 promises to each other. It's a bit tricky to light a sacred fire in an elegant wedding venue, so we had to improvise. We had 7 candles on a table, and the young couple lit each candle, making a vow to each other with each one. They also exchanged flower garlands, another beautiful part of the Hindu wedding ceremony. I've always found memorial services to be profoundly moving. Usually I don't know the person who's passed away, so it's important for me to meet the family and learn what values their loved one held dear. A couple of years ago, I was contacted by a Japanese-Canadian man to conduct a memorial service for his elderly father who'd recently died. When I met with the family, they described how their dad had been forced into an internment camp during the Second World War and separated from his wife and children. When the war was over, he and his family reunited and settled in Hamilton, where he worked in a factory for the remainder of his working life. When I was crafting this service, I struggled to think about how to incorporate that painful chapter of his life into a memorial for this loving family man. Eventually, I chose a reading written by Joy Kogawa about the deep wounding that Japanese Canadians endured in that internment process. Family members gave moving tributes to the man who died, who'd managed to put aside his bitterness and find joy in life again. He'd been a keen sports fan and encouraged his children to get involved in basketball, hockey, and baseball, especially baseball. The memorial service ended on a cheerful note as we left the chapel to the rousing tune of "Take Me Out to the Ball Game." It was quite beautiful. Another memorial service that was very meaningful was to honor the life of a man who died tragically of COVID in his 60s. The family was devastated by this loss. I learned that this man had been a musician and a stand-up comedian, and I was able to watch several YouTube clips of his performances, a strangely moving way to get to know this man. Once again, the service was a poignant blend of sorrow and celebration, as family members recounted some of their dad's most memorable comedy routines. Sometimes the work of a lay chaplain really challenges the imagination. I phoned Lila a couple of weeks ago to ask her to tell me about some of the most unusual ceremonies she'd crafted during her years as a chaplain. She certainly used her imagination and creativity to respond to some of these unique requests. She told me about one occasion where a couple asked her to create a blessing ceremony for a car that they'd recently purchased. This couple were environmentalists, and they had resisted buying a car for many years. Cars also had a sad connotation for them because the father of one of them had died in a tragic car accident. So Lila worked with them to create a ritual that would encompass the pain and ambivalence they felt about purchasing a car. She described how she created a ceremony that incorporated tarot cards to create a feminist postmodern ritual that honored the couple's complex feelings of ambivalence as well as celebration. Sandy Lubert will be officiating at a wedding for the first time in May. And Sandy, I'm sure that you will find the experience to be profoundly moving. It's such a privilege to be a part of these meaningful rites of passage. And I think you'll find that with each ceremony or ritual that you help to co-create, you'll learn more about some dimension of the human condition. It may be a new insight in how people create meaning out of suffering, or perhaps a joyous way of blending traditions to celebrate a special time of life. And as we engage with others in these acts of creativity, we ourselves are changed. I'm sure I speak for all lay chaplains, past or present, when I say that being affirmed as a lay chaplain in this congregation is a great honor. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Karen. And now, Rachel will sing for us every day and every night and every morn, William Blake's poem about the cycle of life.
Number 17, Every Night and Every Morn.
Every night and every morn, some to misery are born. Every morn and every night, some are born to sweet delight. Joy and woe are woven fine, clothing for the soul divine. Under every grief and pine runs a joy with silk entwined. It is right, it should be so. We were made for joy and woe, and when this we rightly know, safely through the world we go.
I have these closing words before we move into the postlude and the extinguishing of the chalices. Go forth into this beloved community with love, shining in your eyes. Go deep into all of yourself with courage illuminating the way. Go out unto all people with compassion and determination, forging the way to a just and equitable world. Shalom, blessed be. Amen.
Sometimes I feel so discouraged and think my life's in vain. But then the Holy Spirit revives my soul again and again. We There is a balm in Gilead to make the wounded whole. A healing power in Gilead to heal the wounded sick soul. We So feel the love around you. This love can heal your soul. Let this heart within you. This love can